Hello, welcome back to Shakhtar Glory, episode 57. We're here in season 4 now, really trying to get through this Champions League campaign this season. We are going to do a bit of a domestic game this episode. I did mention in the last one that we would probably come back either for the Champions League draw on the end of that episode or the next game that would be around that. I've kind of changed that a little bit. This is only the second league game of the season. It is Dynamo Kiev, so it kind of makes a little bit more sense, I guess. But there's just been a lot of sort of stuff with the team I've been changing and tinkering, and I've been doing that sort of around the period, a little bit in the pre-season. I mentioned it at one of the episodes where we looked back at the loans and all that, you know, what we were potentially looking at doing and stuff. Gone through and done some of that and maybe a little bit more, so we'll go into that a little bit in a minute. But that's kind of taken over the period, primarily from the Community Shield up until around about the first league game of the season, which was that new team, Ingolets, I think it was. Petrova, something like that. We were going to do that maybe as an episode of something different as well, but again, I just had a few things going on that I needed to get through that game so I could action them, put them through, and sort of get onto it and talk about it, and it sort of fell into line with this Dynamo Kiev game, so we're going to tie it onto the back of that. So basically what we've done, I've done what I normally do when I take over a new team and a new save. I didn't do it on this one because primarily I thought this would be quite a quick turnaround challenge. Obviously, it's proving to be a bit harder than that and harder than what I expected, and maybe taking a bit longer than possibly expected. There was an expectation in my mind it may take sort of 4 or 5 years to win the Champions League with Shakhtar Donetsk, but it's proving to be maybe, I don't know, turning into a little bit of a slightly different challenge where I'm sort of buying a lot of young players and maybe having to wait for them to, you know, get improve and mature and get a bit better, and maybe even looking at, you know, generating our own players as well. So that's kind of what we've done. So what I normally do with a team, I just completely go in, I gut the coaching team, gut out all the physios, the scouting network. I haven't done that this time, but all them sorts of things, the affiliates, again, I haven't touched that, but there's a few. I've gone right through the coaching team. I've taken over the training. I've reassigned all the manual training. I've pretty much done the coaching now. We'll come back to that in a second. I've got to go and do a quick change because I just literally before I press record, I appointed my last coach. I've gone through and I've done all the individual training as well for all the players. I've replaced my head of youth development. I've looked into that again. Not quite sure that he looked quite good, but I think we were able to. We're in a position this season where we're able to attract a slightly better class of player and slightly better class of staff. I looked at it maybe, I think about season 2, and there was nothing around with players that we were just generally searching for. No one wanted to come, and staff, there was no one. With young players, I'm still struggling to get them to come to Ukraine, but you know, pros towards the end of their careers, sort of late 20s, early 30s. A few more of those big names are interested now, but not that I'm really interested in them myself. But it's just good to see. I've completely tore apart the youth coaches, all that sort of stuff. Replaced as many of those as I can with better improvements. Couldn't do well in all the coaching departments. I couldn't improve everyone that I wanted to improve, but I've certainly improved. You know, separated the wheat from the chaff and got rid of the really weak coaches in there. I think I also sacked the director of football, primarily because he was doing quite a few things that I know is in line with his responsibilities, and perhaps something I could have changed and edited a little bit to give myself a little bit more control back. But he was rejecting loans, rejecting sales, you know, trying to accept some stuff, and I just didn't want any of that. I just wanted complete control. There's a few contracts that were being offered or not being offered that weren't sort of in my thinking, so I just want complete control of that. I did all the contracts at the pre-season, so we're going to stick with that ourselves. So he's gone. They keep trying to get me to appoint a new one. They've offered me Mark Overmars, Guillermo Amor, the old Barcelona player as well. But no, we're not going to go for them. And what else did we do? Yeah, just a complete overhaul of all the backroom staff pretty much. I did want to get a new assistant manager, but I couldn't get anyone better. So what we'll do, we'll go and have a quick look at the back room and what we've done. Here we are at the coaching screen. As you can see, with the coaching staff, there are 2 vacancies. I've gone through to the board. I've asked for some more staff since I've been doing what I've been doing. And they did give me, I think, 2 more coaches, or possibly one of those is one I've sacked because I tried to sack it. I had a replacement coming in, and the guy I wanted him to replace, it was the one that the the director of football had offered a new contract to, and I didn't want him, and now they won't let me release him, won't let me sack him, won't let me terminate his contract mutually or otherwise. So we're stuck with him, and the one we do want no longer wants to come. But in terms of our coaching, you can see we're maxed out in the Ukrainian league. We were pretty high on that, but I think our goalkeeping in particular was suffering. I think I had to get another goalkeeping coach, and I think we may have only had the one. And fitness as well was a bit of an issue, but we've done that. As you can see, no director of football now. We've got the one chief scout. We can try and get a few more scouts in, data analysts, that sort of thing. We've rejigged the data analysis. I've improved that again. It seems to be coming up every sort of couple of months. We can improve that. It seems to fall behind very quickly. And the sports science has gone up now as well. We've appointed, we got one, but I think we had the head, but we didn't have the sports scientist. And I think it still says we should be able to get one more, but every time I go for one, it rules it out. So maybe it is a physio we can just get there. So I'll look to get another one of those perhaps in. The coaches will look at what we need, and I'll see what's about and what we can get in. But I'll probably do that after this episode. I won't do that in time for this one. So that sort of covers that, really. The head of youth development, let's have a look at who we've got. Where is he? We've got Jorge Raffo now. We sacked our guy. I mean, this guy looks pretty decent. He's got professional personality, which is the main point you want when you're appointing your head of youth development. I think our one was, I think it was something like fairly ambitious or something, which I think is a bit below professional. I did try and get someone a bit higher than that, but no one I don't think anyone even exists higher than that, let alone available or interested. But he's got 20 working with youth players. He's got some good coaching stats. He's got good, decent determination, good discipline, man management, that sort of thing. The motivation could be a little bit higher, and he's got good ability and potential judgment as well. He's South American, Argentinian, so he can switch maybe. I think the last guy was Brazilian, so we did have a few Brazilians sneak through, and maybe we'll get a few Argentinians sneak through, possibly in this year's youth intake. I'm not too sure if it'll work that quick. Tactically, I'm working on a bit more of a tactic that I was using it was FM16, possibly 17. Did I skip 17? Maybe 16. I'd love the roaming playmaker in that game. I haven't really used it since on any save, offline or otherwise, and I've just tried to sort of function one in today. We've gone for a bit more of a 4-3-3. I'm thinking probably more in the Champions League. We'll probably stick with the three up front in the league. I've been testing this one out against Ingolets, which we'll get into in a minute. We'll have a look at the score. It was okay, but they're not the best teams. So, it could be a bit of both. We're going to try it out against Dynamo Kiev today as well, see where that gets us. But it's a bit more possession based, hopefully a bit less sloppy in possession, that sort of thing, and just a few more key chances created. I think we did okay, but when we get to the nitty gritty of the semi-finals, quarter-finals, we seem to struggle a little bit more. So it's 4-3-3. I do want to drop in inverted wingers here, if possible. It's kind of, I was watching a program the other day, and I think it was on Sky. I can't remember where it was. I just happened to spot it. I think it was an old program. It's a bit about Pep Guardiola, and just sort of what he likes. His parts of it's just sort of stuck with me, and I've sort of just tried to base a little bit of Guardiola at Bayern, I would say, because obviously we've got the Ramdeuter in there, which is sort of almost like Thomas Muller kind of role. We can mix it up a little bit with some roles, but I do want to get those inverted wing backs in there. But that's another reason why I overtook the training. I just want to get the players trained in roles that I need. So we've got the roaming playmaker now. Hurtado has come in, and he's played one game and he was phenomenal. So he's certainly going to be involved in there. Arve Hagen is similar as well. He's a very good youth product. We've got a lot of young players in and around the first team. We've still got a lot of them listed for loan. So some of those deals are sort of still happening and still going through. But we brought everyone up into the first team who's sort of on the fringe of the team, looking at what we can do. We've still got a lot of players on international duty. I think they're still on or around the World Cup. So we are sort of almost struggling to put a first team out as well. So we're a little bit behind in that regard. But we'll jump in to see how we got in the last game. So it was Ingolets in the league. Obviously last time out was the 3-1 win against Hurtado. Hurtado actually got a goal in that game as well. We got 2 in the last one against Ingolets Petrova. 5-0 win there. Mourinho led the line, got a goal. Rodrigo got a goal in there, and Hurtado got a couple, and Boyachuk on the right hand side got a couple. And we were pretty dominant in that game. I don't think they had a shot. They had 2 shots, 1 on target. We had 21-12, 56 possession, So we dominated in that regard. But against this team, I would expect us to do something like that regardless. So this is the test. This is Dynamo Kiev. And we're going to, I think we're going to line up as we are. With no one's come back from international duty. Did want to quickly touch on things. I think a few transfers may have happened before we jump in the game. We've got this guy, Walter Malan. He's a centre midfielder. Again, training's been changed. He's in there for that roaming playmaker role. If we can get a bit more out of him, that would be fantastic. I may even train, in fact I'm going to train him as a box to box, because it just seems to, a bit like when I'm training strikers, I always go for a complete forward because it offers more areas covered, and I think box to box is probably the equivalent in midfield, so we'll do that. In terms of outs, I don't think there's been anyone big. A couple of loans. Kitsky, he's finally doing one and getting going. He's turned down so many deals, it's just a joke. I don't want him there. Freitas is about to go through as well. We've managed to sell him. He's going to go for massively cheap. And Arabidze, I think, has gone on loan, but his contract runs out at the end of the season, and we tried to put a clause in there they had to sign him, but they weren't interested. So we're going to jump in. Let's have a look how we're looking for fitness. I think I've set the team up pretty much as we're good to go. Interestingly, I haven't been asked to submit my squad for the season in the league. Yeah, I haven't been asked to submit a squad. Normally you have to submit a squad of, I think it's 25 players for the season. I haven't been asked to do that this season, and I don't know if it just means we can play everyone or it's upcoming maybe after the transfer deadline. I'm not too sure. Yeah, strange, but I'm not going to complain. Or maybe it's just because of the World Cup thing, and with so many players missing, it's given us a bit of breathing space until that happens. We'll see. That's just an interesting sort of thing to happen. But Boyachuk here plays it in, but no one on the end of it. But we do get it back. Malyshev, Fred through to Moreno, and is that a penalty? It is. He was probably about to score. Should be a red card, but who's taking it? Malyshev. He buries it. In this new tactic, he has been moaning at me about lack of first team football, and he was probably playing only in the knockout round of the Champions League last year when obviously we were playing the bigger teams. He's been moaning about lack of first team football. This formation at the moment gives me that, because we've got that holding midfielder in there. We've got a couple in there who are maybe more prime to take it, but he's more suitable at the moment and he's a bit more experienced. But we give the ball away there, and Dynamo Kiev are coming forward swarming forward. And a good save by Shevchenko. The game is far from comfortable at the moment. Obviously we are still learning this new formation, this new tactic. We've introduced a lot of new players into the first team, so that could have a bearing on it as well. We've lost a few, of course, obviously, as well. And Fred gets on the goal. And that's something we probably didn't see from him the last year or two. Goals. Fred was a very key cog of our team. Kept us ticking over, sort of run that midfield, but he didn't chip in with many goals or assists. So to see him get on the score sheet in, second game of the season, very nice indeed. And 2-0, we are starting to look comfortable. But Leo again, Malyshev, no one on the end of it. Fred, can he get a pop shot away? No, he doesn't. He goes wide. Rodrigo's there, and it's 3-0. 40 minutes, and Fred running the show today. 55% possession now. We are since that second goal's gone in, we've kicked up a gear. And Dynamo Kiev are just kind of fading away, really, without any sign of a fight back, really. Fred whips it in, and Rodrigo rises at the far post, and that's 3-0. But we kick off here. Obviously, it's the pointless highlight, but we have a free kick. Hurtado, Boyachuk, and it's 4-0. This is getting crazy. And Hurtado, he looks like a player. I'm turning into Harry Redknapp again. He is some player. He's come in. He's played the Community Shield, now these first two league games, and again he is just on point. He's got one assist here, an 8.6. He got 2 goals in the last game. He got 1 goal in the one before. Probably a couple of assists in those as well. This boy looks amazing. Probably the long-term successor to Fred. Oh, and he rifles that one. That's him again for Hurtado. This player is an animal. We're going to take a look at him at full time. This guy is an animal. Just wallop. Wow. Probably one of the best goals I think I've seen us score. We've scored a few decent ones over the time. We're getting to that point. I think we're going to make some changes. We will have a quick look at Hurtado. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think this guy is living up to how he's playing? He's 3-star current, 4 to 5-star potential. Good passing. He's got a lot of the attributes I'm looking for. He's playing the roaming playmaker and training there at the moment. He hasn't probably got quite the full package there for that yet, but I mean, he's doing it, isn't he? He was on loan last year at Olympic Donetsk, didn't really do too much. Okay, he didn't get any assists in the last couple of games, but he's got 2 goals. He's already got more goals in one game than in 2 games, 1 game, whatever, than he did last season. We only signed him for 650k. I think that is a bargain. He's worth 2.1. I think that price is going to rise, especially if he keeps on doing what he's doing. Dictates the tempo, tries long range passes. A bit of a Steven Gerrard in the making, perhaps. Who knows? I mean, with the goals he's getting, you'd say probably more of a Frank Lampard. Well, no, it could be either. But we're going to take Moreno off. We're going to put Larson on in there. We're going to give him his preferred role. We'll give him target man. Just give him a chance of actually doing something worthwhile. Farah's going to come in as well. We might drop Fred back. Does that work? It does. And we'll bring Tankovsky in the middle just because Malashev's on a booking. He's not as vital as in that, being he's not the only centre defence midfielder anymore. We have got a couple, but I don't want him getting suspended. So Shevchenko here with a goal kick. Strand doesn't win it, but it still goes to Fred. Rodrigo, can he whip across in for Strand? He does. Strand Larson, there he goes. Is that his first goal for the club? And it's saying Rodrigo's having an absolute stormer. I can't disagree. He's got a goal, a couple of assists, I think. I don't know if that is Strand Larson's first goal, but it's good to see him getting amongst the goals this year. He was a bit hit and miss last season. He didn't really do anything last season when we did play him. We played him a lot towards the end. And there we go, full time. Not bad, I think you'll agree. And as you can see there, they're the ones that got all the yellow cards. They were just running around chasing us like madmen. Another day, probably would have got a red card. Hurtado, player of the match, 9.3. Could have gone to Fred as well. Goal and assist for him as well. Rodrigo's on 9.3 as well. Got a goal and assist. Quite a few to choose from, but yeah, Hurtado. He just did so much more by the looks of it. Like his trait says, he dictates the tempo. That's what he does. He had us ticking over. So what we're going to do, I don't think we've got the Champions League draw anytime soon. I think it's in September sometime. We might play another game or we'll come back for the game around that draw. I'm not too sure, but 6-0 against Dynamo Kiev, who are, our nearest rival. I don't think we're going to be losing a game anytime soon either. Matvienko is wanted by Liverpool boss Carlo Ancelotti. So I mentioned him, yeah, look, he's an inverted wing back, so there's not many of them in the game. He's wanted by Liverpool, he's had bids from Napoli, I think Tottenham, but what we'll do, we'll come back for, I don't know when we're coming back, we'll come back at some point, hopefully around the Champions League. I'm going to try and whiz through these couple of games now and hopefully maybe record it. I'm also, which has probably been seen already, I'm looking at recording the part 2 of the Arsenal manager save, with obviously the recent sort of semi-developments that have happened and the end of season just haven't recently happened. But if you've enjoyed this video, hopefully not too long, drop a like on it, drop a sub to my channel, and yeah, any comments, let me know what you think about Hurtado, first and foremost as well. Do you think he's going to be a special player for us? Is he going to be maybe the difference this season, that extra creative spark? Who knows? But yeah, until the next episode, which will be episode 58, and will be some game, I'm not too sure which yet. I will see you next time. Take it easy.